lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to Now Slain, an It Slays podcast production where we review the latest and greatest in the world of horror. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
And it's Jill.
And we are talking about the Blumhouse remake to Speak No Evil, which was released to theaters September 13th, 2024. So, Jill, Blumhouse... Speak No Evil. I feel like I gotta stop asking your opinions on Blumhouse because we just do so many Blumhouse movies that we reiterate over and over again. We're like, oh yeah, Blumhouse. So what about like your feelings? Were you aware of this coming out? My second question would be, if not, how were you not aware of this? Because we've been watching the trailers to this for 6 months. But more importantly, like, have you seen the original? Were you excited about an American remake? Just thoughts in general here.
Yeah, so like you said, been watching this trailer for a long time. Every time we go see a movie, it's there. It's like so ingrained in my head, but at the same time, like I forgot the title of it for some reason, and for another reason, I just like assumed it was because of the name that it was something else, and it had something to do with like supernatural religious possession sort of deal. So I forgot the name of it. So when you asked me to go watch it, I totally forgot that this was that movie. But yeah, I had wanted to watch it. The trailers looked pretty promising, and I had no idea that it was actually based on a Danish film until you told me about it literally like the other night when we were recording. So I did not know that. And unfortunately, I watched the remake before the original, but I did end up watching it today.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but what about you? Have you been waiting for this for a long time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The original I watched pretty much when it came out. I want to say it was Colton that saw it, maybe at like some sort of film festival or something. And like, I remember Colton, I'm pretty sure it was Colton that was like, hey man, like you got to see this movie. There's like a lot of buzz about it. I remember like hearing on podcast about it. This is the Danish one I'm talking about, the original. Yeah. And I remember seeing it and it just like fucking me up. Like just, I always say that there was only one other thing I've ever had a visceral reaction, or two things I've ever had a visceral reaction like I had to the original Speak No Evil. One was a Serbian film. And two was episode 1 of the original British Black Mirror, the one about the politician like having sex with the pig.
Something of a nation, or birth. I don't remember what it was called.
Pig of a Nation, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, that was also. You're right. Yeah.
Like, those are three things in recent memory I can remember that just, like, hits me in the guts and kind of sticks with me. And also that I have, like, I have the same reaction when that happens, where I'm basically like, fuck this. This, like, I never want to see this. Why is this made? And then every time I have that feeling, I'm always like, 2 weeks later, I haven't stopped thinking about it. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Like, yes, why have I been blessed by the gods?
Another thing that it reminded me of kind of a little bit was like Sinister, like the snuff footage.
Yes.
I also kind of got that feeling. But yeah, different feeling than this movie leaves you with. For sure.
And like you said, I mean, so when I heard that Blumhouse had bought the rights to do an American remake, obviously, you know, I was wondering where there was a gun, where the bullets were, that I could possibly just blow my brains out right now.
It.
Because there's nothing worse than an American remake to anything. They rarely ever turn out good. It's like just a common, I was going to say it's a joke, but it's not a joke. It's just like commonly known that it's going to be like desensitized, anything like you have to have some sort of happy ending. Like American audiences just won't respond to the same things they do overseas. And, you know, I feel like the original just that despair is the feeling the original really wanted you to have. And I was like, that's just not going to happen. So, you know, seeing this over and over again, I was just like, oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord.
I gotcha. Me being blissfully ignorant and unaware of the original movie and knowing nothing about it and going straight into this movie, just seeing the trailers, I had like a really enjoyable experience and I really liked the movie. And I know one of our horror hounds, Holly, on Letterboxd, she had looked at my review and she said she was excited to watch it because the original was like a little bit too much for her. So I feel like this is definitely like directed. It's supposed to be more palatable for you know, like a wider audience than the original to consume. And earlier we had talked about it and you said you didn't like get the point of them like remaking it. And I get it. And that's one of the things I think about too when I think of like a remake or a sequel or something like that. Like one of my main questions would be like, was there a point in doing this? And you know, whatever. Did it add anything new? Did it say things in like a meaningful or like different way that we even care about? And I would say, yeah, for this movie, I feel like it's different. But if you don't know anything about the original or don't even try to compare like the tone or I don't know, just like take that apart from it. And it's kind of like a fun theater experience because it's like darkly funny in a way that the original wasn't. I would just say the original was just like super bleak, like despair, you said earlier. It's like super gray, and this one is like more animated, but keeps, like we kind of talked about earlier, shot by shot story from the original narrative. So yeah, I think it makes it more accessible for a lot of people. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It depends on how you look at it.
Yeah, well, and you know what? We'll get more into it. We got to get to the trailer first.
Oh fuck! I sorry.
Jill just is excited, guys. Jill's excited. She's jumping right into it. You're getting a sneak peek preview at some thoughts. So first, let's get into the trailer, and then we will get into our spoiler-free thoughts.
If you haven't been to the country,
you have to come and visit.
That'll be an adventure.
To new friends.
It's so quiet around here.
I admire you. Louise is a beautiful woman.
Something's not right with him.
I want to leave now.
Remember that time you tried to leave and you didn't say goodbye? Why are you doing this? Because you let us.
Speak no evil. Rated R.
Speak No Evil, which is directed by and written by James Watkins and originally written by Mads and Christian Tavdrup, and the synopsis is as follows. When an American family is invited to spend the weekend at the idyllic country estate of a charming British family they befriended on vacation, what begins as a dream holiday soon warps into a snarled psychological nightmare. So here on Now Slaying, we like to start with the spoiler-free section first. Jill, you were already giving people that sneak peek.
I ain't no good at the spoiler-free.
So let's continue discussing Speak No Evil. And, you know, I think you started at a good point, and I think we left it at a good point, which is you were saying that if, you know, you have seen the original now, yeah, this movie's pretty much going to start off and you're going to be like, man, this seems pretty familiar. Yeah, super deja vu. Because, yeah, I mean, you said it, which was my thoughts. And one of, you know, kind of my issues with this film was that I felt like 3/4 of it were essentially just like almost a shot-for-shot remake of the original. They tried to use a lot of the same beats, except not as well. Like, to me, it didn't work. I think about the first one, every little slight and comment and interaction was like odd and had this tension where I felt with this, it was much more played to like almost a comedic beat rather than tension.
Yeah.
Where, you know, like James McAvoy would like say something and it should be like awkward, but to me, like the audience was responding to it way more with like laughs than.
Yeah. I want to say something about that because, okay, when I had announced that I liked the movie in our group chat, you and Colton got so mad because you guys said the new one lacked tension. And so I kept that in mind when I was watching the new one today. And I was like, I still don't really understand what you guys mean because I feel like the remake has a lot of tension in it, but it also has like that dark kind of humor to like kind of cut through it a little bit. But I still think it does have a lot of tension and it uses different beats sometimes, which we can talk about later, than like the original to achieve it. And there are some like storylines that I thought it did actually better than the original, and vice versa. There were things in the original that I thought were done better there. But I didn't think like, I don't know, I kind of like that it was a shot-for-shot remake, but they made it way less grim in like that sinister, like bleak kind of way. And it was more so like a backwoods kind of slasher, which I was very into, but I didn't have like the respect for the original when I first saw this. So I was like, wow, this is just like a really fun kind of stuck in the cabin in the woods kind of slasher with this like psycho.
Yeah, and I can definitely see what you're saying with that. Like, definitely, I think James Watkins, and I do respect the fact that I think even though there's so many of these scenes that are ripped out of the original, like, to me, he's like trying to make his own tone and his own pace to it. And like the word I had written down was like camp. Like, to me, he was trying to make this way more campy and kind of, like you said, it like a good time at the theaters with, you know, just kind of a fun 14, like, cat and mouse chasing game.
Yeah.
You know, for a wide audience where, yeah, the original, I think, was like very serious. You know, it was, to me, it's like, it's just something that you have to be willing to sit down, immerse yourself in, and like, and you know, unfortunately go in not, whether you think you're going to or not, you need to be ready to not have a good time.
It's hard, yeah, because it's not a good time. And also, it really looks at, like, the hard, ugly truth of humanity. Like, that movie is more likely to be the movie that is set in reality rather than the one that we are reviewing right now in some aspects. But I just want to talk about James Watkins, the director of this, because I hadn't even like looked him up before I saw this movie the other day, and I was like, wow, this really reminds me of Eden Lake, which we covered on the main show. Yeah,
and I loved Eden Lake.
Same. And it also gave me kind of Black Mirror vibes as well. And it's funny because he also did the Shut Up and Dance episode that we were kind of talking about before we start recording. One of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror. And I think James Watkins just has like such a, I don't know, distinct tone. And it also looks at like the hard kind of truth and ugliness of reality, but it wasn't as bleak as the Danish movie. This one was, like I said, it was funny in parts. And gotta talk about James McAvoy because he just carries this film for me, and also his partner. What's her name? Is it like Eiley Franciosi or something like that, who plays Kira?
Eileen Franciosi, I think is how you say it.
Okay, yeah. I thought she was amazing also. And one of the first things I noticed when I watched the original today is that James McAvoy looks so much like the original Patrick.
Yeah.
They look so much alike, and I love that. But I much preferred the character of Kira in the new one rather than the wife in the original. But
yeah, which I mean, also, you know, the Black Mirror connections really going through there. Mackenzie Davis, you know, starring as the other partner. She plays Louise, and from San Junipero's Black Mirror episode, which, like, I feel is possibly one of, like, the biggest Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I know the merchandising was crazy off that. You can, like, buy, like, the soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah.
I love that episode.
It is a vibe.
Yeah, it was totally a vibe. So you just
like
can
the
never
only
escape.
happy episode. Sorry.
I mean, that's true, I guess, in certain ways. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I don't appreciate the performance that James McAvoy is giving. Like, I think for what happens with this, and I'm trying to be careful because obviously I said, you know, I think 3/4 of this are, you know, total shot-for-shot remake. I think I'm going to save for the spoiler section what that last 1/4 is, like the twist this movie kind of takes that veers from the original. But yeah, like, I think for the tone and kind of the fun this movie's having, I think he fits the bill very well. He's very, very over the top in this, just like very grandioso in all of his actions as Patty, and, you know, just really flamboyant and boisterous. And, you know, I think he does a pretty good job in that role. I
mean, I came away knowing James McAvoy mostly for being Mr. Tumnus in the Chronicles of Narnia. But I came out of this one having, like, a big thing for James McAvoy.
No love for Professor X or what?
I mean, yeah, but
it only would have been perfect if the other guy was cast as Michael Fassbender, and then we could have got the reunion.
No. Anyways,
that Michael Fassbender hate, I forgot about it. Staying still.
Here we go. But yeah, I thought he was, like, kind of hot, even though he's this crazy, like, dude in the woods. I don't know. I acknowledge that he was a giant douchebag, and I still would have let him abduct me. And there was also another weird thing about the new movie. I was getting, like, big swinger vibes at the beginning. Like, it was some kind of, like, swingers, like, resort or something, and that they were trying to lure this other, like, couple in. And it kind of went with that because there was, like, a lot of flirting between, like, the partners.
Well, and they do bring up, you know, in one of the scenes, he, like, brings up that they like to enjoy other partners.
Out. Yes, and I was waiting for it, and it never came. Then I saw the original, which had, like, none of that. Really?
This is where I think there's also kind of this lost in translation thing. Like, I don't know enough about it, but from a lot of, like, analysis I've read and things like that, other reviews and stuff, like, you know, the Danish film, like, there's something very, like, Danish about the humor, about how they interact on vacation with other people, and the comedy and what, like, that kind of stuff. I think that's just, like I said, it seems that overseas it's more common, the kind of vacation like that, where you're kind of like couples, but not necessarily like in a swinging capacity, like in just like hanging out. There's babysitters at the hotels, that kind of thing. Like, that seems to be an actual thing where I did also get the swinger vibes in this, and I was like, I wonder if that's because, like, that doesn't really seem to me like an American vacation thing. Like, we're gonna go hang out with a bunch of couples we don't know that we met at a resort and have dinners and
it was kind of like White Lotus.
Yeah, like, to me, it seemed like maybe a little more European. Like, that translates a little better into, like, European countries and how they vacation. And then maybe that's why they kind of wanted to try to give it that slant so an American audience wouldn't be too jarred. Like, why would they do this?
True.
I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of spoiler-free notes on this one because I don't want to. I'll let people know right now, like, I'll probably talk about the original and this and the comparisons. Just when I'm talking about this one, and I don't want to ruin the original for anybody. So I kind of don't want to say much about that either. And I think a lot of the conversations in this are, I want to say spoilery, although, like we keep saying, the trailers have been playing forever. And one of the real downfalls, I think, for this film is the trailers kind of give away a lot of the, like, scenes that should have tension or be awkward. Like, they play them in the trailers.
Oh, yeah. Like the scene where the kid's, like, snipping the scissors with his mouth open.
Yeah. Exactly.
And when he has his mouth open and he's trying to talk, like, all those really creepy scenes, that
should be like a big what the fuck moment.
Yeah.
Except, yeah, it's been in every trailer that has been playing for this.
Yeah.
And, like, even the oddness of Patty and, like, the weird things he's doing to make this couple awkward.
There's so many in the trailer.
Yeah, like, they pretty much show all the major ones.
I realized that when I was watching it. Yeah, like, every single beat, they did show a lot. Mm-hmm. I will say, though, I really did like those creepy scenes with that kid, the creepy kid. And I thought they were really good points, like, high points in this movie. And I feel like that kid was creepier than the original kid. But anyway. To
me, I think with that, like, why don't we talk about if we recommend it, and then that way we can actually get in the spoiler section, and Jill won't feel so constrained, and
this is dangerous territory.
Yeah, for her.
I'm about to sing like a canary.
That's right. So, in terms of recommending this, this is really tough. This is really tough. My theater was pretty full, and I'll be honest, everywhere online, I see people on Facebook. People are like, I want to go to the movies. What should I see? Everybody's like, Speak No Evil. Go see Speak No Evil. I think you might have a good time at the theater with this, especially if you've never seen the original. If the original doesn't really interest you, I want to let people know now because I know it's a hesitation for a lot of people. There is subtitles in the original, but they mostly speak English in it, so it really isn't a heavily subtitled movie. So don't let that stop you from seeing the original. But I'm going to give it like a light recommend. I had an okay time with this one. I think there was a lot of decisions we'll talk about that Blumhouse be Blumhousing, but, I think out of everything Blumhouse has served us so far this year, this is probably their strongest effort, salute to them. What about you, Jill? Would you recommend people go see this?
Yes, I would. And I think it's funny that you just mentioned, like, this is the best thing Blumhouse has done in a while. I think when I first came out of that, I was like, wow, this is like the A24-ification of Blumhouse right now. Like, they're really going for it with this one.
I don't know if it's on Night Swim's level, but it's definitely up there.
Or Afraid, or like anything
what
else.
Imaginary came out this year also. Yeah. Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, lots of stinkers, but every now and then Blumhouse comes through and they do put out like an iconic horror movie. And I feel like this could be one of those. I think it's smart. I think it's funny and dark. I think it's a fun time. I had a good time watching it in the theater. There weren't that many people at my theater, but yeah, I don't know. It was still a good time, and I really, really liked it. So if you like the original, just remember that. Remember, this is different. This is something else. And if you don't want to watch the original because you think it's going to be too bleak for you, watch this one instead, or watch them both. Do what you want to do. But yeah, I really liked it.
So yeah, a light recommend and a very strong recommend for Speak No Evil. So with that, let's cut on over to the spoiler section. So we are now in the spoiler section of our review. If you haven't seen Speak No Evil yet, turn this off, go see it, and then come back when you're ready to have it spoiled, or keep listening if you simply don't care. All right, Jill, now we can, we can talk.
Spill the goods.
We can spill the goods and any scene, bits, things like that. So, I mean, let's just get into it, that 1/4. So this basically turns into a whole nother movie that has nothing to do with the original, where, we basically turns into, like you said, just kind of country folk chasing, city folk around their farm lot and house, and it's like this cat and mouse slasher that it kind of turns into, where obviously with the original, it's not that at all. I think my word when I thought of the original is nihilistic. Yeah, it's like one of the most nihilistic movies I've seen in a long time. And I'll say, like, I enjoyed that they tried to do something their own. This is when I thought the movie was at its best, is when it wasn't trying to mimic the original. Because like I said in the spoiler-free section, I didn't think the mimicking worked that well. I enjoyed what I saw in the original better. So I did like this part a little bit more, but that's because it felt like an entirely different movie, which it was.
Yeah.
Did you like this part? Like, where this is full out, Patty goes nuts, his partner go nuts, like James McAvoy just giving it his all in this like last half.
Yeah, I'm just like starting to remember now, like the differences. Like in this one, we have Kira being like his first victim or whatever, you know, and she's like a victim, but she's also an abuser. And I thought that like relationship and kind of commentary was really interesting. And, you know, that was the history. And I also like that we didn't know really what happened to the kids. Like, you know, they're not there anymore, but you don't see a kid floating in a pool or anything like that. Or a really gnarly scene of getting a tongue cut out. That was the point in the original where I was like, holy shit, like they do not give a fuck in this movie. And they did like nothing like that in this one.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's important. Like we said before, we already warned you that we'd be spoiling the original and this one. But yeah, I think that's important to talk about, like the brief overview of the original where, you know, their car breaks down when they're kind of escaping, leaving in the original, and then they get separated, and then essentially this family is like held hostage in their car and are literally forced to like watch this couple, like you said, just actually in full view, camera view, you fully see like this young kid's tongue get cut off. You know, there's nothing they can do. And that's when your stomach's already like just dropping when you're watching this. Like, okay, like it's this kind of movie now. And, you know, this famously ends with, you know, stripping the couple naked and stoning them to death. And they die. And then you're left to automatically assume this kid is now going to go into, you know, this pattern of what they do of kidnapping kids, and then when they're done with them, killing them. And it's just like, that's it. And very much like why I think The Strangers worked. Like, it's the exact same thing, you know, the couple saying like, why are you doing this? And them saying, because you let us. And like, what a fucking gut punch. And that's where, like I said, with this one, I do like how they changed up the ending to this chase and all this wildness, but like they still, you could see they were trying to hit those beats. So they do the line of like, oh, well, because you let us do this. But, you know, like no one, the daughter doesn't get hurt. Like the couple,
it's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending. It's the happy American ending. Like, you know, saving the day. And I just felt like there was so much. I keep saying The Strangers because that's really the comparison. I'm thinking about The Strangers remake this year and why everyone hated it, why it didn't work. And that's where I'm kind of confused on the love of this. Because I'm like, the reason we all hated The Strangers is the exact same thing they did here. Like, the original Strangers was scary because we didn't know a backstory. We didn't know why they were doing it. We're never given one. And to me, that's why the original Speak No Evil is so scary, because there is never an explanation. They're just like, this is what we do. We do it because we want to do it. And you have to live with that, and you just end with that. Where this, we have to get like all this like backstory, and then, you know, we find out Patty's like abusing his wife, and so is she complacent? Is she not? It's just, like I said, it's all these things that I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This American remake, like they're gonna just, you know, you gotta over-explain everything to the audience. And unfortunately, like I said, for me, that's just really kind of let me down with this one.
I'm sorry, man. Like, I get it. I totally understand. Yeah, I don't know. The original was so bleak to me.
To me, it's really about what you like in your horror movies, how you want to feel. And, you know, I always joke all the time on the main show when I talk about, like, it's really hard when we watch stuff, even when I really like it, that, like, it's that I get scared, because I don't really get scared from anything or anything like that. So I've always felt that I've replaced the feeling of getting scared with that, like, nihilistic despair and just, like, pit of my stomach, just disgust. And like I said, that's why those kind of movies leave such a lasting impression on me, where this one, like, sure, like, I had some fun with this one, but then when it ends, I'm like, okay, well, it's just also kind of a forgettable remake at the end of the day.
Damn.
I know, and I'm just, and it's not that it goes wrong all the time. Like, I'm the first one to sing the high praise. Like, one of my favorite remakes of all time is The Hills Have Eyes. And,
okay, yeah.
You know, to me, that kind of tracks for what I'm saying about myself, because The Hills Have Eyes is so brutal and is so just like pit of your stomach, just depraved, that, you know, I think they really, like, kept the essence of the originals and tried to, you know, not make it as Americanized. Yeah. But, you know, I guess, you know, to each their own. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, and, you know, some of the other stuff, like, do we want to talk about some of the other scenes? Like, to me, there was definitely a different feeling with when they go out for dinner. You know, that was, you brought it up, like, they kind of really heavily imply the Swainer stuff in that, and even though it plays with some of the same beats of, like, them skipping out on the bill and that kind of stuff. You know, was there scenes like that you thought this one did better?
Yes, and that scene is one of them for me. I really liked the fact that he's at, I don't know, it just seems more scummy in the new one, like the place that they're at, and this guy's just, like, cooking for them. Like, it just seems scummier for some reason. And I think it's funnier when the bill gets flipped, when Patty flips the bill on this guy in this one, because it's just kind of like, wow, he's, like, such a dick. And in the original one, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it just didn't really seem that realistic to me. Like, the dialogue they had and stuff, I don't know. But another one is, like, the bunny. Like the plush bunny. I feel like the new one did a better job of making it really frustrating for, like, those parents. Like, the parents were, like, so pissed off at each other, and they're so frustrated over this, like, stuffed animal. And every scene with it, I feel like they did a better job with that, and it made more sense for them to turn around and go back to the house. And I like that scene better too, when he's doing, like, the 10-point turn to, like, turn around in the new one to go back to the house and get the bunny. But what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, I just didn't feel the tension in a lot of it. I thought, for my taste, it was built better in the other one. Like, I thought the dinner scene, to me, was a little more grimier in the original one. Like, it looked like a local spot. You could kind of tell, like, the waitresses there and stuff, like, knew who these guys were. Like, they weren't in on it. But, like, they were just like, oh, this fucking guy that obviously shows up very often with other couples and just gets hammered. But, like, there was always something, like, I'm trying to think how to say it without being cheesy, but, like, in the original, there was just always something so sinister, I felt, about the underlying emotions of that character. That, like, you know, yeah, I thought James McAvoy's character is crazy, but I never felt like, oh, there's, like, something really wrong here. Like, I just blatantly knew with him there was something wrong, because he's being, like, so over the top, where that's just what I liked so much with the original, was it was just, like, everything was, like, so subtle and, like, little jabs. But, you know, it's also hard to compare in the fact that I think they are really speaking on different subjects, different terms. Like, this one is heavily, like we said, more of a city versus country folk type setting, where I felt the original was, like, a little more about, like, money. It was like a little more about like class. I felt the original was a little more investigating in, I don't even know how to describe it, because I'd say the remake is kind of looking at like toxic masculinity and you know, the effects of that, where like the original, it was more just like kind of this like primal self. Like there was so much of the original that was just about like owning who you are, you know, and just like that kind of thing. But there was never like, I never felt like it was like this toxic masculinity talk in this one. And there were scenes with that, like, you know, they reenact the like guttural yelling in the remake. I didn't think that was very effective compared to the other one.
I liked this one better.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
It was
him
like
singing the song, in the car, and the awkwardness of the car. Like I thought all that was done better in the original than this one. Obviously a little longer. That was kind of the other issue too, is I think where they changed the third act, they needed to shorten a lot of these interactions up to get there, where because the third act is so abrupt in the original, they could, you know, when he's drinking and driving in the car and the music's loud, like in the original, they can really like live in that scene for a longer amount of time. So the tension's built, where this one, I kind of felt like, I feel like so many of these new horror movies, it's like, they're like, all right, we're doing this scene, but we need to get to the next scene. So like, we're only doing this for a little bit. And then we're going to get to the next one. And we're doing that because I need to get to the next scene. And I was like, they never just let you like sit in dread of a scene that might play out like too long, or like, and make it awkward. It was just like, getting out of the scenes way too quickly for me to feel awkward about it.
Yeah, maybe that's one of the things I don't like about the original, is like the awkwardness of it, and that's kind of why I prefer like the comedic tone. That might make sense. But another thing that I like about the new one is like they have this huge farmhouse that you kind of see like the layout of in the beginning, and it really like played into that cat and mouse kind of chase that you're talking about.
I love the farmhouse. It looked awesome. Yeah.
The goose.
The
fact that they like had that goose, that special goose, and they killed it and fed it to her. I felt like the tension, honestly, in that one was a lot stronger. And they really like played it up too. Like the camera was on her for a while. You see her like spitting it out and putting it in her hand in the new one. And I don't know. I thought it was kind of really funny, like the goose that they killed just for her, rather than like the wild boar.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I forget the name,
but they had a name. Yeah, and I will say, like, and that's where I think this is playing with like different ideas. Like, they obviously, you know, at dinner they have like a big argument about, you know, like sustainable food and all this kind of stuff, where I think the original is like less interested in those conversations. I will say, like, it felt very American, because you're like, oh yeah, here's this like, you know, like this higher middle class, lower rich class, upper class couple that have money that, you know, can afford to be vegan or whatever. And
very James Watkins.
Yes,
right?
Yes, very. So did you have any other notes on this one, or are you comfortable going the rating it?
I'm good to land the plane.
So if you're new to the program, our rating system is nay, okay, yay, or slay. Jill, what would you give Speak No Evil?
I am going to give Speak No Evil a very strong yay, because I went in completely blind, so that's my experience. Had no idea what the original was about, and so hyper focused on that. I had a really good time and enjoyed that movie for what it is. I can see people who are very loyal to the original not liking this one because of the total like change and everything. So if it seems like you're gonna be mad, you know, like the same reason why I'm not gonna go see the new Crow movie. If you really like the original, don't see this. But I had a really good time. It's fun. You should watch it. I think James McAvoy is incredible, charismatic. I think the acting and all the cast is really good. I like the beats and the way that they use those beats differently in this one. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a really good movie. So yeah, slay. Not a slay. Not a slay. Yay.
A yay.
A strong yay. Rowan, how do you rate Speak No Evil?
Yeah, this is a difficult one. I think I'm going to give it an okay. Like I said, I didn't have a terrible time at this one. You know, I think there is some fun stuff in this. As much as I don't like James McAvoy's performance compared to the original, as like a singular performance in just this, without thinking about the original, I think he's fun. He's wild. He's crazy. Like, he definitely, you know, your eyes are on him the entire time. And it's funny you brought up The Crow, because I think about it, I saw this with a friend of mine that also loves the original Speak No Evil. And, you know, he was talking about The Crow on the remake on the way home. And he said, you know what you got to do is just imagine that it has nothing to do. It's not a remake. It has nothing to do with The Crow movie. And you got to go into it like it's its own movie. And I think for people that can do that with this, they're going to be like you. They're going to love it. They're going to have a fun time. It seems like everyone's loving this. It does have a lot of stuff to love, because even if I don't think it's done as well as the original, it's still a great story in general. Like, it's just really interesting. It plays on fears everyone has about traveling and interacting with strangers and all that kind of stuff. So I think it has a little something for everyone. Like I said, I'm just hardened in my opinion of how much I love the original one, how it destroyed me when I watched it. And I'm just a purist like that, I guess. So I have to be that guy that's just like, I don't know why. That's really my opinion, is the whole time I'm like, I don't know, you could just watch the original and kind of get the same thing, but in my opinion, a little better.
Not everyone is gonna watch the original, though, and come out okay.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
right.
Kind of like soul crushing.
They'll come out a little fucked up. But to me, I was like, you know, why didn't we make this like, it could have been a similar story, but just a different movie. And it didn't have to have, like, all the shots remade. Like, you could just do your own thing and make it a traveling movie. Like, still have the same beats. There's lots of movies that have the same themes and same premise and ideas and just do it a little differently. So why not do that? And then, you know, make it a little more campier and a little more fun, I think. So, yeah, I think, an okay and a yay. I think this will probably put it where it needs to be in the averages. Maybe a little lower than most people, because a lot of people are loving this. Like, the reviews, everything seems to be not in my line of thinking, more so in your line of thinking. So,
interesting.
There you go. And if you're not currently doing so, you can follow us on any social media at It Slays Podcast. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Letterboxd, Bluesky, Threads, I don't know, YouTube, anywhere. We're anywhere there's like some sort of social media. So you can look us up at It Slays Podcast. And Jill, why don't you let people know about joining the Patreon?
And if you want to become a horror hound like Holly, Nicholas, Patrick, Socratype, Mark, Joy, Dan, Brian, Trevor, and James, head on over to Patreon. Select which tier works best for you, and you can get episodes of the main show 48 hours early and access to our Patreon exclusive show, Stream Screams, hosted by Rowan and I. Go on over there and join them. Rowan, any spooky tunes from Speak No Evil making it to that?
I don't think so. I don't remember any music.
Me neither.
Yeah, so.
Very forgettable, wouldn't you say?
Unfortunately. Yeah. So you can go to Spotify to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. If you have any problems finding it, you can go to any of the social media that I just mentioned earlier. Go to the bio, click the Linktree link. It'll take you directly there. We upload scores or licensed music from iconic horror movies we review, or just horror movies we love. So go on over, follow the playlist. We update it regularly. It's spooky season, so get your spooky music on, because why the hell not? And last is just what's going to be next on Now Slain, and I believe we got 2 coming at you in the next week. It's going to be Never Let Go and The Substance. I feel like Colton's going to be back for at least one of them. I know he's sick. I think he's going to weather the storm. Yeah. Definitely Never Let Go.
Big Holly Berry fan.
But, I mean, we'll be back. It's spooky season. There's horror movies coming out every week now. So, Maybe we'd need to do a Now Slaying on. I saw the theater. They're doing the 10th anniversary showings of It Follows.
Oh.
In October. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, right? Like we should do it like it's a brand new movie. And
yeah, a little update.
So yeah, thank you as always for all the support. And I am your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Jill.
And if you keep listening, we'll keep slaying.